This is 2006. He comes into my office and sits down, and the room's set up like a living room, right? So we're both in comfy chairs about 3 feet apart, so closer than you and I are now.
Right.
And I go, Mark, you don't know me. I've been around a long time. Let me give you a little context for how I'm looking at this meeting, because once you start talking, you're going to interpret everything I said as though I'm just reacting to what you say. So let me go first. He goes, go ahead. And I go, if it hasn't already happened, either Microsoft or Yahoo is going to offer $1 billion for Facebook. Now,
He turns white.
well, everybody who's listening to this may wonder why that was significant. They just finished a $9 million revenue year, right?
Right.
Basically doing just banner ads for pizza.
It was a $100 million company at that point.
No, it was a $9 million in revenue.
$9 million in revenue, but a $100 million valuation, maybe. Taking a guess. 300.
I don't think so. Not
No,
yet.
higher?
No, they'd taken the money from.
Peter Thiel?
Sorry, it may be 100. It was whatever the Axel valuation was, which I think was
100, yeah.
whatever. Whatever the number was, $1 billion was huge. So I'm going. One of these guys is going to offer you $1 billion, and everybody you know. Your parents, your board of directors, Jim Breyer from Axel, your management team, your employees, everybody's going to say, Mark, take the money.
Sure. You own 60, 70% of the company.
Well, you're going to have $650 billion. You're going to change the world.
Yeah.
Jim Breyer's going to tell you he's going to fund your next company. And you're just going to do it again.
Rock and roll.
Everybody's going to tell you they're going to go with you. It's going to be fantastic. And I just want you to know something, Mark. I think Facebook is going to be more successful than Google is today. So Google of 2006. And I said, which was a big number. And I said, I believe you've broken the code. That in social media, the thing we know is that anonymity breeds trolls, which undermines the viability of a social network. Because at that time, he doesn't even have newsfeed yet. And it's just a Facebook and it's just high school and college students. Yeah. So he's got authenticated identity. Because you have to have the email address from the school. And I'm thinking that is going to provide a form of protection against trolls that nobody else has ever had. And I'm going, I think authenticated identity plus the ability of people to control the privacy relative to who can see what, those things are going to let you scale this thing and make you eventually more important than Google is today. And I said, so here's the thing. Nobody in Silicon Valley ever has the perfect idea at the perfect time twice. And I think you have the perfect idea at the perfect time. So if you believe this idea, if you really believe in your vision, you should recognize that Microsoft or Yahoo or anybody else is going to just trash this thing. And you probably won't get another shot to do something as cool as this. So if you believe the vision, when that offer comes in, you should be prepared to say no. It took me 2 minutes to do that. What followed was the most painful 5 minutes of my entire life. And I've had life-saving surgery and I've had a bunch of traumatic injuries. This was the most painful 5 minutes. I've just laid this really heavy thing on him, right?
Yeah.
And I'm expecting feedback.
Right.
I get dead silence. And I'm in a room that is soundproof to within an inch of its life. I mean, it is so dead. I mean, it was eerie. And he goes through all these pantomiming motions of thinking, right? And he's not saying a word. And so for the first minute, I'm thinking to myself, wow, he's really listening.
Wow, he's considered.
He's really thinking about this. He's paying me a compliment. I'm really
nice.
Cool with it. But I got to be honest with you. If you've ever sat with somebody, like if I just sit here and go,
yeah, it's disconcerting.
After 5 or 6 seconds, you start to get nervous, right?
Yeah.
So at the 1 minute mark, I'm going, this is getting weird. At 2 minutes, I'm going, this is really weird. Yeah. At 3 minutes, I'm digging my fingernails into the furniture, just trying to contain myself because, I mean, this is going on so long. I've never had an experience like that. At 4 minutes, I'm literally ready to scream. And sometime in the 5th minute, he visibly relaxes. He's decided he's going to trust me for the purposes of this meeting. And he goes, you won't believe this, but that thing you just said, that's why I'm here. That exact thing has just happened. One of those guys was offered $1 billion.
Yahoo offered $1 billion, yeah.
Well, it turns out Yahoo had offered $1 billion. He doesn't say that at the time. He just says, one of those two guys was offered $1 billion. Yeah. And everything you said, that has literally just happened. That's why I'm here. So we have this really weird thing where the meeting's, in fact, inverted, right? That instead of him coming and telling me a story and asking my advice and not being sure whether he can trust me, I've anticipated the entire thing. He's decided he's trusted me before he's even told me.
Right.
So the whole meeting lasts.
Bonded immediately. Yeah.
The whole meeting lasts half an hour because I said to him, "Well, do you want to sell?" And he goes, "I really don't want to disappoint everybody." And I go, "Dude, that's not the question. The question is, do you want to sell or do you believe in your vision?" He goes, "Oh, I really believe in the vision." I go, "Well, do you want my help?" And he goes, "That's why I'm here. I need your help." So it took, he had a golden vote. So it was just a question of framing the message he was going to give to everybody to get them to understand that, hey, they're all going to thank Mark for not selling the company because he's going to achieve a thing that's 100 million active users, right?
Yeah.
Something that would be
worth 200 times this.
Some huge multiple.
Yeah.
And so he leaves after half an hour and he invites me over to his office like the next day or a couple days later. And that begins this thing because he has a core problem at that point. His whole management team wanted to sell the company. So he couldn't very well keep all the people who had been wanting to sell the company. So I had a mission, which was he obviously wasn't going to turn to the other people on his insider list for that help because they'd wanted to sell it too. He would be worried that they would bring in people who would want to just sell it again. And so for a brief period of time, I have this special relationship that I'm the guy who didn't want him to sell. And so, we have to replace the CFO and the chief operating officer and some other positions, but we also had the Winklevi. That whole thing blows up right away. Yeah. And again, I have no opportunity at that point to invest because he's just taken the money from Jim Breyer at Axel. He doesn't need any money. Right. And it didn't matter to me because I'm going, I think this is the next coolest thing since Google. And he was interested in my help. Plus, he was such a cool guy. I mean, socially awkward, definitely. But he was a great listener. And he's
brilliant.
Unbelievably so.
Is that his superpower, his focus?
Yeah. No. And the thing is, every experience I had with him was fantastic. And that's the thing. I try to explain to everybody, I really liked him and still do. And it's like, I feel terrible that things have gotten so weird because he's a really interesting guy. And what he created on its own terms is simply magnificent.